Hey guys, welcome back. Now, with the latest US inflation data coming in at expectations, does this mean that we're all going to get treated to another leg higher before Christmas? Well, one person that remains incredibly bullish on crypto prices is PlanB, creator of the stock to flow model, and he has a massive price prediction for Bitcoin for 2025. And so in this video, we'll be covering the latest on stock to flow. What is it saying and where does it say crypto prices will be going next? Then I'll share how it compares to my personal price prediction, as it does differ a bit from PlanB's. And then we'll finish up with PlanB's $1 million Bitcoin scenario. And interestingly, we are actually still on track. Okay, so first up, as we've not covered stock to flow for a while, let's do a quick refresher and let's see what is it predicting. Okay, so starting with one of my favorite charts in crypto, and that is stock to flow. And if I would have had this chart when I first started back in 2017, which was around about here, I would have realized that I was in the absolute blow off stage of the cycle top and be able to exit before the big crash. But unfortunately, this wasn't around at that time, so I had no idea of what I'm about to take you through right now. But if I did, I certainly would have a bigger portfolio without having to go through two massive crypto winters. So the reason this is one of my favorite charts in crypto, as anything that can pretty much give you almost everything you need to know about the crypto market in just one place, it's always going to be a favorite chart to me. So for any beginners or people just joining, let's just do a quick 1-minute introduction. Stock to flow, this is the price of Bitcoin since inception. The average price is going through the middle here, and it's based on stock to flow. Stock being how much Bitcoin there is on the market, and flow being how much new Bitcoin is getting created. And this gives us nice 4-year cycles, because every 4 years Bitcoin goes through a halving event where the new supply gets cut in half. And all things being equal, if you cut the new supply being brought in by half through the miner rewards, then the price has to revalue itself. And this is why we get these sideways consolidations into the halving, a big revaluation, sideways consolidation into the halving, as it's based on stock to flow. And it's color coordinated, and this is simply how many days until the next halving. So you'll notice that a halving happens in blue, it goes into the red. So the halving happens in blue, into the red, then through orange, yellow, green, purple, into the blue, and then we get the next halving. And because of these Bitcoin halving events, this is why we clearly get these big 4-year cycles. And then add in human nature, what will normally happen, you got the average going through the middle, but humans being humans will massively ramp up the price way above the average of where it should be, and then panic. People don't want to lose their gains. They begin selling, which causes more selling, which causes panic, more selling, and typically it will come under the average. And this is why the actual price is always going above and below, above and below, above and below. And what makes crypto so volatile, and although this is the price of Bitcoin, this is pretty much what's going on in the crypto market. So if Bitcoin's going on an absolute tear, then altcoins and the rest of the market will be going on a tear. If Bitcoin is crashing down, then altcoins, so the rest of the market, will be crashing down even harder. So that is the basics of stock to flow. So the question was, what is stock to flow predicting next? Well, this was the last halving. This was the big choppy period after the halving. And the reason the crypto market is so exciting right now is that we are due, and it takes 4 years to get here, the next big leg up. which is only happened over about 9 months, and it's the most exciting part in crypto and where prices go parabolic. So stock to flow, because of the last halving, is predicting a massive run up, and the number that stock to flow is predicting for the next average, so this line here, is around $500,000 for Bitcoin. So that will be the average for 2025, 26, 27 into 28 before we get the next halving and the next leg higher. And PlanB has also given it a wide margin. So if 500,000 is the average, then double that would be 1 million, absolute best case scenario, and half that would be 250,000, which he says is the absolute worst case scenario. He would not believe it wouldn't get to at least $250,000. Now, so I personally love this chart of stock to flow. However, PlanB does his monthly videos based on this. So essentially it's the same thing. It's stock to flow, but for me, it's just a bit messier and cluttered compared to the last chart. But essentially it's saying the same thing with a few more things added on. So this time, the colored chart here, he's done it to the RSI, the relative strength index. And what we've seen most recently is a yellow dot. So the RSI is starting to get hot. And PlanB is predicting that what comes after yellow is going to be red. Super hot buying behavior from the market. So we can see once the yellow had come in, you get month after month of super red hot buying, driving the prices to these crazy new all-time highs. Same here, once you have this orange dots here, RSI just over 75, it's followed by the red dots into massive runs. And so he's predicting we are on the precipice right now of moving into the red dots, which is going to drive the price up to this $500,000 mark. Now, where myself and PlanB differ is that we both see different things from the same data. And this is going to be the battle between exponential growth and diminishing returns. Exponential growth just says that this time it's going to keep blowing past, not following previous trends, and going on to setting crazy new highs, where the people in the diminishing returns camp says that each cycle, as a percentage gain, it gets less and less and less. And so this next cycle is going to be considerably less than the one before, which is considerably less than the one before. So I'm in the diminishing returns camp. This is what the data says to me. PlanB is in the exponential returns camp. But for example, just take a look at this. So at the time of this orange dot, Bitcoin then went on to do a 10x before getting to the top. Then the next cycle after the orange dot, it then went on to do a 3x, clearly diminishing returns. And if we follow this pattern, I would say that from here we may do a 2x, taking us to about 200,000, where PlanB thinks that it's just as likely that we'll do another 10x, taking it to $1 million. And this would literally be next year. So going back to this version, as I think it's just a cleaner chart. So for me, it clearly shows diminishing returns. So look at this, look how far above price was to the average 2014. Then if we look 2018, price didn't get as high as the average. There was diminishing returns. Then if we look 2022, this time it wasn't miles above the line or even close to the line. It barely broke through. Clear diminishing returns, which is why this data says to me that this time around, I don't even think it's going to get to the average in 2025. It's less, it barely got to it, and this time around, I think it's gonna undershoot. So for me, a typical scenario would be something like this. 2025, we get this 2x, taking it past probably $200,000. I have a top range of $210,000. We then get the next crash, likely at least 50%, taking it back down in 2026 to $100,000. So this is where we crash back down to 100,000 and everyone will be freaking out, even though that's where we're at right now. And then the next cycle, 27, it probably doubles to 200. 28, it probably doubles to 400. Then by the time we get to the next halving, this is where I think it breaks past $500,000. So for what it's worth, that is how I personally think this is most likely going to go. However, I could be wrong, Plan B could be wrong, so be sure to do your own analysis and come to your own conclusions. Now, to finish up, we're just going to finish with a scenario that was laid out back in October for how Bitcoin could be getting to this $1 million mark just next year in 2025. This is a scenario of how this could play out. And interestingly, this was when Bitcoin was back at 64,000. So step one, this was October finishing with a classic pump month, taking Bitcoin to 70,000. And to be fair, this one actually came true. So far, so good. Next, November. He said Trump will win the election. This will end the Democrats' Biden, Harris, Warren, Gensler war on crypto, shooting Bitcoin to $100,000. And to be fair, this one also came to pass, only a couple of $100 short. Now we move on to December, which is the current month, and he says massive ETF inflows taking Bitcoin to 150,000. So this would mean we need to get another 50% in just the last couple of weeks of December. Now, 4 years ago, this is pretty much what happened, so it has been done before, but if we are getting diminishing returns, then maybe it's not quite 50%. So time will tell, but the market needs to massively break out from now. Then January, crypto people and companies return to the US, taking price to 200,000. February, the Power Law crew people sell, bringing it back to 150,000. So I am actually in this bucket of Power Law people. So using a Power Law, which is probably something I'll do a video on at a later date, also comes to the conclusions that it's going to top out around 200,000. So by January, this would probably trigger my target for this cycle, and I would be one of these people exiting the market. Then February, Bitcoin becomes legal tender in Bhutan, Argentina, and Dubai, taking price to 300,000. April, Trump begins building this strategic Bitcoin reserve, price to 400,000. Then May, other countries join the race, taking price to 500,000 by May. We have June, several AIs start using Bitcoin to arbitrage traditional finance, $600,000. Then June to December, we get the face melting FOMO rally, taking it to $1 million. So this is by year end. Then he's also included how much he thinks it may crash by 2026, the distribution phase, getting it 50% drop down to 500,000. And lastly, 2027 is the bear market, bottoming out back down at 200,000. So that would be an 80% drop, which is larger than what's happened before. But I would think we also get diminishing returns on the crashes as well as the market matures. So leaving the crash aside just for this, by the end of next year, this is how Bitcoin could be getting to $1 million. With the latest US inflation data coming in as expected, does this mean that we're all going to be treated to another big leg up before Christmas? Well, one person that remains incredibly bullish is PlanB. As we saw, Stock to Flow is predicting an average of $500,000 for Bitcoin, with the upper range being $1 million and the absolute lowest being $250,000. However, for me, Stock to Flow clearly shows diminishing returns, which is why I remain in the camp of a Bitcoin price between $150,000 and $210,000 for next year. Having said that, I still do remain a big fan of Stock to Flow and its simplicity, and if the market were to do a magical 500% gain next year, then all the better, but I do remain skeptical. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now you tell me, is it going to be 200,000 or 500,000 next year? Let me know your thoughts below. However, just remember to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments. We are trying out the new SuperThanks Commenting system. So to get your question or comment read and replied to, or just to say thanks, then use SuperThanks below. And for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.